Hello, everybody. My name is Andy, and I've worked through the years under the name of Soul Frequency Consciousness because this is what I've dedicated really my life to understand. And I'm here to share with you some of the knowledge that I've gathered with time, and also the practicality of having this knowledge when it comes to bringing your life to a place of serenity, duty, and service. So, welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe, and like, and ask me questions about the subject of energy, as far as esoteric energy. Also, ask me question about the rays, um, astrology, consciousness, and my own experience to be able to share things that I believe as a message in it that can help many, 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 because I'm sure that I resemble the majority of the people out there that have been studying metaphysics for decades. And right now we find ourselves in a time that it is of significance that we come out and teach our talents, our skills, actual, yeah, our ability to manifest. And even though I don't, actualizing is not a word that I really choose to say, but to bring to life your thoughts in conscious, in this very present, in present moments, and have them manifested in your favor or not, that is your choice. And the secret of that is to be willing to do good, to be willing to embrace diversity, really being bigger than what you've ever thought you were, as far as trying to understand what is different. And there's an energy that has entered our consciousness in our humanity right now, as we have become very, very aware of the minerals since Pluto entered Aquarius. Right now, we are becoming very aware of our mentalities with Neptune entering Aries. This is also the whole Holy Week. And like many teachers out there, a lot of us are practicing silence during the day and meditating and entering a vision into our world uh, that we have dedicated many, many, many hours to for a better transformation in our electrical fields. So what I want to talk about is that we are moving into that seventh ray consciousness. And I think it's very important that as we having just ingress into Aries with Neptune, which is Poseidon, a lot of tiny Titan energy in the air, a lot of water energy in the air, waves and shores coming to our purpose. This is a time that we also should think for ourselves that each and every one of us that are alive and form in today's world, that we come here for a certain specific duty and mission. And that duty and mission is revealed in three houses through your lifetime, through your human lifetime. Sometimes four houses, but it's usually that time of 30 years, 30 years, 30 years, the decade, those times of enormous shift in a human being's consciousness. We have encountered, we have found ourselves in a moment where we've been given access to tools of thoughts and practices that are actually very important for this cycle of time that we're changing with. We're moving to a moment where Mars is returning into Leo. And we're moving into a moment, the reverse of the wheel. We are, where peace is to be found. It is on the reverse of the wheel. We are choosing that time of moving forward. So Mars is iron. And this is significant because to me, it is significant for me to have the opportunity to speak of this because a couple of decades ago, I started to always these videos or these internet consciousness was that we were in the Iron Age. And we have found ourselves at the very cusp, beginning of having created enough perforation in that iron consciousness. As we are closing the cycle of Neptune, we're engaging into a new moment in time, and it's so significant to realize ourselves and to give ourselves the opportunity to participate mentally with what you would like to imagine if you were to return as a human being on this planet. What would you like to find? What would you like to imagine? And what would you like to imagine for the people that you are leaving when you transit? I'm in my third phase of life, and in the last 5 years, I've had to deal with enormous transitions and changes. And many of you that do know me, the ones that do know me, have walked me through those years, supporting me, listening to me, and also understanding that I was very engaged in transformation, and I did transform. This transformation became very vibrant for me, and I'm sure that it does for everybody that takes the time to find out and to start pondering on their own astrological charts and looking at when were you born, but those three houses that are going to be determining the consciousness of that mission in this lifetime. These things that we learn only when you actually apply yourself to want to find out. And these things have changed me enormously. So I had my first Saturn return when I first entered my 30s. And if I would have known then that I was entering the house of Scorpio, I would have prepared myself in a different way. I was totally unaware. And I have to say that it had a huge effect in my life when I discovered this, because it gave me a reason. It gave me a substance. I have a Venus in Scorpio, a moon in Scorpio, Neptune in Scorpio. There's a lot of Scorpio in there that I had not touched when I was younger. I was preparing to find myself in a moment. But if I would have known that, it would have made an enormous change for me. So I want you guys to imagine yourselves having the ability to do that. In my 60s, at 58, 59, something, changed completely again, early 60s, and it was my location of where I was living. And I was completing my second Saturn return, and which I'm living my second right now. And this is important to all of us that are living that second Saturn return. Many of us are not really extravagant. I'm not. I've, even though I've lived in a world that extravagance and more than enough, then and misuse of a lot of things has been available to me when I was from 30 to 60 in a different that I created for myself. But it became a new tendency condition. So when I found myself in my third decade, I was in Sagittarius. And by then, I had learned a lot about astrology, about mysticism, and I was ready to take on what was going on in my life. So I'm just telling you guys just from experience that it is important to look. What is your mission in life? You find that mission. All the planets in my charts, for example, are mainly in the gibbous part of the chart, in the top right part of the chart, and I pay a lot of attention to were you born on a retrograde momentum or direct momentum or station momentum. That has huge effects in our lives. And as I was being of service to a lot of people and doing webinars and talking to people, through all these years, like everybody else, through accumulation of knowledge, we find ourselves participating in new ways of being. Yeah, and really giving yourself new mental challenges. When we look at this Neptune moving into Aries, with Mars moving into Leo right now, okay, um, at the end of a huge cycle of life and experience, we've all become so much more sensitive to our and to the movement of the air. And if any of you kind of like were participating in metaphysics about 10 years ago, we were all speaking that we were moving into an age of air. And we're going to be in this age of air for the next couple of 100 years. Everything is moved through air. And it becomes a method of seeing ourselves a lot quicker. When we learn the mid state, we know how to teletransport ourselves. We can do all kinds of things with our visions today. So asymmetry, which I'm going to read you the definition that we are moving into right now. Asymmetry is a seemingly paradoxical concept, but it referred to a type of visual balance where the two sides of an object or compositions are not identical, but still appear balanced due to the arrangement. It still appears balanced due to the arrangement of the element, colors, shape, and sizes. Asymmetry is a point of structure in the midst of our consciousness individually, is something that is very present in our outer world right now that we have all been subject to. But except the asymmetrical duty that we have at this time is we have to learn to adjust and honor our differences and work with the acceptance of such differences. It is the only way to survive on this planet. And we're moving into a moment of we are in a positive moment for humanity for the next decade. The nodes are in our favors. We're building unity. And this is important that we understand that all of this substructure of energy that is trying to balance us in this time. The seventh way energy is in that first house. And when we consider the seventh way ceremonial order energy, and when we consider that we are ending the age of the forerunner, okay, the forerunner, and this age of ending the forerunner is at 125 years, in which we are, many of us think that we are in the year of the conclave. We're moving into a new age. This is the last week of that energy that we're bringing the age of the forerunner to pass. And many of us are participating through this ecosystem all over the internet. We're speaking of our own personal experiences. And when we're looking at the introduction and the expression of the self-centered expression of the in developing man, and the expression of the disciple and the initiates, and we understand that we have directives and mantra, because through eternity, through human eternity, through human infinity, since the beginning of the times that we weren't even aware that there was such consciousness on the planet, we are now in a way that we know that we are sharing thoughts, attitudes, experiences, and it needs to be done as a global effort. So when we're looking at the moment that we're in right now, the selfish, self-centered, self-serving human being that the seventh ray brought light upon in that Neptune in Aries right now, really bringing to the evidence, giving us into a moment of choice. In my way of thinking, I look at the fourth dimension, that we've been cultivating this fifth dimensional entry that we are encountering right now. We've been doing a lot of work as group through all of these different ways of us communicating with each other. So this fourth dimension has been actuated. It's been, we're living it, but we're entering this fifth dimensional opportunity. And how are we going to choose to have it? Are we going to really stay self-centered, selfish, and just self-serving human being? We're not going to last very long that way. Okay, forcing conformity and imposing patterns on others, it is not, there's no way to create in that way. You know, our mind at this time is more important to understand that nature is here to serve us, but not that we cannot destroy nature. So being forced into these unnatural, unusual rhythms of energy, we've all been in boot camps, many of us, boot camps of extreme sacrifice and pains. And we are being assaulted. Our consciousness in the last decade has been cultivated, it's been like kind of like tenderized to atrocities. And it is not okay. It's really not. So advanced human beings that I believe I'm part of, and most that listen to these kind of talks, are here to create a new organization and directive. And we have access to this electrical content that we distribute all around us. We're creating a new mental architecture. We're moving into Neptune in Aries, which is the age where mentality is on the surface. We're here to reassess something efficient so that we can begin to accept that there is mastery in the world, to create a discipline and rules that are adaptable, adjustable, and creative. And we have all prepared for this moment, but hate, atrocities, like hurting somebody just for the heck of hurting somebody, I lived that a lot of my life. I've seen it. And I will tell you, it's not okay. I dream of a society that hasn't been assaulted. That we've had. I dream of a generations, couple of generations maybe from now, where pain is not something that we are subjecting human to. I dream of a society where we're going to actually have a society one day where children can be raised with knowledge, experience, experiments of wonderful ideas that they will create in their cycle of time. So I live in that universe. I imagine that. So I would ask you, all of you, I would like you guys to imagine really what does your life look like a hundred years from now? If you were to look at this planet 100 years from now, what does it look like? What kind of population are we? Because that is what's happening to us right now. We still have enough resonance in our history circuitry, in our physical bodies of the last 100 years. And the only way that we got to where we are today in society was through participation, was through creativity of all kinds of different minds. So bringing efficiency in creative ideas on the physical plane, that is what each and every one of us are doing in this world right now. So we're moving into a progress, but there's a progress that we must accept. It's, we are expert as far as hurting each other. We should become expert at understanding that what is past, and that we can move to something new. A lot of people are not going to come with us. A lot of people are not going to want to participate in having a fair equity, because they think that there's no life after this one. But I will have to say there's always a continuity. We are spiritual being having a human experience, for God's sake. So when we're looking at Mars going through this iron age, that it's through time, there's been enough perforation into that iron dome of asking what's happening to us. Well, we started to get touched by rays of energy. The seventh wave right now is reorganizing itself with a new mentality at the new cycle. We are in like the very, very shadow of the age of Aquarius. Many of us have points of views on the age of Aquarius, but we are in this prelude of it. Just like we were in the prelude before we move into the generation of Aquarius, which is different. We've been warned and made aware of that in the prelude of Aquarius, unspeakable new events would come to our shores. in our mind, in our thought, that we would have to comprehend. 100 years ago is not that long. I'm 68, so it's not that far. 100 years ago, we were moving to this moment that we are today. I think that 100 years ago, barely San Francisco had toilets. Look at what we're doing today. We have a chance to move to a path that we can be of serene, dutiful purpose. And that's something that I serene, dutiful purpose. That's something that came to me earlier this week in meditation. I was asking myself, how would I describe what I found here in Canada? And what I found was serene, dutiful purpose. And I can talk about the healing that I received here in every way of being capable of being myself, but also the assistance and the help. I've even become part of the, uh, benevolent groups. And one thing that Canada has a lot of is that we get to a certain age and we all want to be benevolent. We all help each other. We all care, and uh, they assemble together, and they form groups, and they meet during for a couple of years or 4 years at a time, and they study the events of trying out certain ways of being in the community, and a few years later deciding if they're going to adopt it or not. It is just extraordinary. And they take care of the elders, and yeah, it's quite a place. So having found that group and having participated in it, one thing that Canada did to me, and because of the time and the events that we're living in the cycle, it brought me to a place of kindness and serenity, duty, and service. I participate, like I call people early in the morning to ask them how they're doing. They're older than me, or maybe they are not as healthy as me, or they are facing their last, part of their lives, and they need, somebody calls in, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we all get to participate in these things. So this is what can go on in societies. It doesn't matter what or when you discover the ability to participate and be efficient and to serve your communities in either little ways possible. It is doable. It's just that for me, it's very, I mean, I've given, you know, I'm just surprised of the development of the better person that I became by doing these actions. Even though I'm very, very concerned about, I always want to give and study and this and that. What I found in Canada was community, and I wish that on everybody. So as we're going to this very Martian time, this opposition of Mars and Pluto, uh, we are also entering a huge moment of friction. And this friction is going to have some enormous results in the next couple of weeks. And as an empath and as a knower, I think that is very important that we pay attention, that we're being led in this world right now by some very, very not well people. They're physically sick and mentally sick, and but not just in the U.S. I mean, all over the world. And this is for entertainment only. Uh, But this is the path that we, in Neptune and Aries, at the cycle of time that we are, that this has all come to the surface to give us a choice. We just had the last full moon in Libra and Aries, and that gives us a choice to equalize. Are we really what we want to be? And go to work with that. Work on yourself and help yourself with that. So that Iron Age that we come to, we put some, daylight into this iron dome that we are, but it is dissipating. And as we are assimilate, let me stop talking, asymmetry, and as we are spending time within ourselves during this holy week, I want some of you that are listening to this, I want you guys to participate and take time to go within and ask yourself, how do you want the next 100 years to be? Because that's what we're seeding right now. We're in constant evolution. There's new rules that are coming on the plane of mind, a highly structural, militant way, whipping the personality life into shape. Well, I'm going to tell you that it says, whipping the personality back into shape. About 5 years ago, when I arrived here on the path, learning the rules from the plane of mind and being very structured because I was not well, and doing the work, meditating, finding a structure that was satisfying to my way of being without having to renounce anything about me and accept it. So these are development that comes with the path of wanting to be militant. I'm very devoted, very militant, very regimented. When I decide to be regimented to get something done, I complete things when it comes down to spiritualities, or if I work with a client and having the ability to manifest what is required for the time that they are here and have them see it. So the power to align with purpose, with the aspect of the spirit that's came here with, is something that we learn to possess. And this is a moment that we are soul infusing. So we are in a really magical process of positivity, white magical process of conception to execution. From the beginning of that 5 years ago when I got here alone, for example, I created a decision that I wanted to be able to be a manifester, to understand, to really move and I've accomplished that for myself, being a healer, but in a different way than I understood it then. That form that I saw myself then is completely transformed. The ability to work with silence, and just silence, and you giving it a point of light with details, and create it and form it for yourself, it does come to life. You learn the step by step, 1, 2, 3. It's a three-pronged process. And you begin to surprise yourself constantly with a little bit better achievement each time that you activate it. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. And thank you for listening to me I will come back tomorrow at this time, at 9 o'clock. I've made this commitment and I'm going to keep it. I don't know how any of this is going to turn out, but I'm doing what I know to do for myself at this time. And I'm sure that something positive will come out of this work. So if you have a specific question about it, a projection that you would like me to think of, if I could, any of these things, just leave a comment. I will look at it and see what I can do. And many of you out there do get to know me a little bit better. Leave, like I said, leave a comment, like and subscribe. I'd like to be able to, uh, just play in this divinity of energy and to use divine laws and to produce results. Whatever that is, the results, I have no attachment whatsoever. I just want to participate. Thank you. Bye bye.